He died a useless rich kid in a dark alley, only to wake up in a world that has completely changed. Now, Earth is overrun by monsters, and martial arts rule supreme. But while geniuses train for decades to get stronger, he has a literal glitch in the universe. He sees glowing bubbles dropped by fighters. Strength, speed, god-level skills. He just walks over and picks them up. Watch as he goes from the school's biggest loser to an unstoppable monster, humiliating every enemy who dares to look down on him, and riz every popular girl in the academy. So the story starts with a heavy rain falling as hard as it can, but this does not stop the bad guy from pointing a weapon at a stranger in a suit. A second later, a loud noise rings out. The man stumbles and almost falls to the ground. A few minutes later, the street is empty. Only a figure can be seen on an empty lot. It is the stranger who was just hurt, and now a red stain is spreading under him. Looking at his hand, our boy wonders if this is the end of his life. He wonders if he is going to pass away alone in the middle of a dirty street. Suddenly, a shout rings out through the whole class. It is so loud that the kids in the room are shocked. Our boy looks straight ahead. It seems he does not understand what is happening or where he is. A classmate in the front row asks Wang Teng what is going on with him. He suggests they go to Rose's place that evening to hang out. Looking at Shuji, our boy wonders why they are talking to this guy again and why he looks so young. Wang Teng cannot think straight because he remembers exactly what happened to him just a moment ago. He clearly remembers the attackers and lying on the ground. He cannot understand how he ended up in this classroom. Wang Teng still looks ahead in surprise. He wants to say something, but he cannot find the words. A moment later, Wang Teng looks at his clothes and is shocked. It really is him. He picks up his phone and looks at his picture, realizing it is actually true. With his head on the desk, Wang Teng decides that he has been given a second chance, even though it seems impossible right now. Trying to focus, our boy tells himself he needs to act like nothing happened. He tells himself not to let the past happen again. A scared Shuji asks his friend what is wrong and why he is acting so weird. Wang Teng smiles and says there is no need to worry. He says he is just a little tired and will not go with the guys that evening. Suddenly, one of the boys shouts that a girl is stopping some bullies. Realizing something interesting is happening, the classmates start cheering the girl on. They say she is the best and should show her skills. Wang Teng looks down in surprise. He does not remember anything like this happening in his past life. From the classroom window, they can clearly see a stranger handling the group easily. The girl moves with so much confidence that it seems she can defeat anyone in her way. Our boy notices that she has long legs, a great look, and amazing skills. She is a master of combat. At that moment, his friend walks up to him and asks again what happened. He adds that the guy seems distracted and scared. Wang Teng smiles and says he is tired, so it would be better to go home and get some sleep. As he walks down the street, Wang Teng realizes that everything in this world is totally different from his past life. He realizes the world has changed. Holding his phone, Wang Teng decides to read about what is happening now so he does not look clueless. For a moment, our boy stares at the phone before starting to read. He reads that 30 years ago, a portal appeared in the sky, connecting their world with others. Inside these rifts was a power that helped people develop combat strength. Scientists studied this force and found out it is likely dark energy. With its arrival, the earth changed. Creatures began to adapt to the new reality. Plants grew taller and thicker. Some extinct species came back. Animals also became stronger and their traits improved. Interestingly, some people lost their minds, and no one found the reason why. Scientists started to understand this, which led humans to start training. This led to martial arts becoming popular everywhere. The guy is amazed and cannot believe everything changed so much. However, Wang Teng is interested in what happened to his family. If almost all people are different now, as he walks to the house, he wonders if he can still call these people his parents. Maybe they live somewhere else, and he will be kicked out. Something tells our boy he probably should not go in because everything is different now, but he has no other choice. Wang Teng closes his eyes and stands in front of the door for a while, thinking about his options. Opening the door, Wang Teng dramatically tells his mom and dad that he is home. The woman stands quietly for a few seconds, as if she does not understand. Then she turns around and happily says Wang Teng should clean up because they will have lunch soon. Suddenly, tears fill Wang Teng's eyes. He wants to say something, but he cannot get the words out. Every second, Wang Teng's tears fall harder. Walking down the hall with confidence, our boy says out loud that he is definitely home. A few minutes later, the guy is smiling, even though he is still quiet. Despite this, memories from his life appear in his mind. He remembers his parents and his birthday cake. Now, our boy feels like he is back in that time, because the whole family is sitting at the big table again. Wang Teng sees a childhood photo on the table, which makes him feel good, but something is bothering him. Lying on the bed, our boy thinks sadly about his past life. The Wang family treated people badly and was kicked out because of it. A month later, his grandfather's company lost all its money. After the family fell apart, his father was taken out. Sometime later, his mother passed away because she could not handle the grief. Realizing he has to move forward, Wang Teng decides to keep going. even though his past life was not happy. It was reckless. Wang Teng knew his fear led to his end in that dark and unknown alley. Wang Teng realized he hadn't understood any of this until that final moment. Now our boy feels full of confidence and strength. He leaves his room quickly. He decides the only way to protect his loved ones is to get stronger and tougher. Soon he stands near a large building, though he hesitates to go in immediately. He tells himself he is working towards getting into the best university. A guard at the door apologizes and says they are doing a routine check. Wang Teng notices special runes on the guard. These runes boost strength massively. Even if a martial artist takes a hit to the head, they could still get hurt badly. A few minutes later, Wang Teng stands in the middle of the hall watching someone closely. He walks up to the front desk. The receptionist asks if he really signed up for admission. She says if he is a new student, he should go to study hall number 2. Walking down the hall, he sees athletes who look very strong. One guy is hitting a punching bag, and a computer shows his strength going up every second. Other boys are practicing fencing, and the system shows their speed improving. Girls are also working out in the gym with great results. Our boy watches in surprise. He didn't expect to see this. As he squats down, he notices something on the floor that catches his attention. He doesn't know what it is, but since he is in a new world, he needs to learn about everything here. He presses a large button. Suddenly, he is shocked by what he sees. Wang Teng can't believe his eyes. It is a machine that tells him his strength is at the starting level. People in the hall watch him suspiciously. Suddenly, he realizes he is on his knees. A girl is standing right in front of him, and he is staring at her leg. Students whisper about the weird guy reaching for the stranger's sneakers. Jumping up, Wang Teng realizes how silly he looks. He tries to make excuses. The scared girl runs away without saying a word. The other guys watch him closely. He realizes they probably can't see the screen floating in front of him, so they don't understand what he is doing. Before he can think more, someone puts a hand on his shoulder. Wang Teng doesn't like this, so he turns around immediately. He wonders if this person noticed his screen. He asks the stranger what happened. Holding out some cards, the man asks if Wang Teng is a martial arts master and tells him to pick a card. Our boy stares at him for a moment. Finally, he picks a card and shouts that he made his choice. The stranger yells at him to stop messing around or he will never succeed. Then, he tells the newcomer to follow him, rubbing a bump on his head. Wang Teng quietly agrees to listen. Looking at the city, he thinks about the training method used here, which is basically a set of radio gymnastics. The bubbles are disappearing, so the mentor slows them down. He remembers meeting a large opponent earlier. Our boy thinks sadly that he just needs to train the right way. Opening the door, Wang Teng tells himself he has leveled up enough. He is surprised he improved his boxing skills and stats so much. Back home, he tells his parents he is tired and wants to rest, but he is also hungry. His mom happily says there are leftover egg noodles for him. He takes a big plate of food. His father, Wang Shinteng, says he was worried because his son came home so late. While eating, our boy explains he is doing martial arts at the Polar Star gym. His father touches his forehead and asks if he is sick, since he never liked martial arts before. The man says he doesn't understand this sudden change. Eating his noodles, the guy says he just wants to try it out. He adds that it might seem hard, but it is actually simple if you have the desire. Wang Shinteng looks at his son silently. Then, the father says he will support him if that is what he wants. He offers to find a good teacher. Our boy quickly says there is no need to that yet. He wants to see if he has talent on his own first. He thinks to himself that a tutor wouldn't be able to see his secret system anyway. With a sigh, the father agrees that the Polar Star is a good place to learn. After eating, Wang Teng stands up and says he will rest now and go back to training tomorrow. The parents watch him leave. They are both lost in thought. The father is very worried, but doesn't want to upset his wife. He tells her that tomorrow he must buy a lot of meat because protein is important for someone who exercises a lot. The next day, our boy goes straight to the gym. He happily greets the guys he met the day before. He knows he will see them every day, so he sees the point in being on good terms with them. A brunette girl he does not know watches him strangely, but she does not say anything. He gathers the bubbles in his hand and tells himself that the early bird gets the prize. After this, Wang Teng decides to check the board. He is eager to see how much his strength has increased. He starts moving faster, telling himself now is the time to find out. A moment later, Wang Teng begins training, and it feels like he can do anything. After he finishes boxing, he decides to run on the treadmill. He runs at maximum speed to see what he is capable of. Finally, Wang Teng stops in the circle that measures power. Numbers appear on the screen. Looking at them, the guy is upset. He realizes his current strength is still at a low level, which matches his body type. His speed is also low. He feels down because he has no idea how to improve it. However, a moment later, our boy decides that a bad mood is no reason to stop. He believes that if he works hard, he can achieve what he wants. The brunette watches Wang Teng and wonders if this is the same strange guy guy she met yesterday. She decides he might be crazy, so it is better to stay away from him. Wang Teng does not seem to care because he has a different goal. He looks closely at his screen, thinking about what to do next. The girl is surprised when he suddenly reaches for a sword. She realizes he is planning to learn how to use it. Our boy remembers he found a copy of the Shadow series skill, so he decides to use the blade. A few seconds later, our boy is cutting through the air like he has done it hundreds of times before. Watching him, the brunette asks her friend if this is the same guy who was doing basic exercises yesterday. Wang Teng does not know what they are saying and just focuses on his task. A few minutes later, the guy puts the sword back in its case. The people watching are confused. They ask each other if he is done already. They think something is wrong with the stranger because he practiced with the sword for a moment and then went back to boxing. They think he is weird. At that moment, a man turns to the crowd and asks why they are standing there instead of training. Pointing to our boy, the girl asks Peng what kind of monster he brought in. She is shocked that he started boxing right after holding a blade. Wang Teng ignores everyone and focuses on the punching bag. The surprised man stops to watch Wang Teng. He pauses, realizing he should say something. Smiling, our boy turns to his teacher and says it is good to see him. Wang Teng does not like being too formal, so the man says the boy can just call him Brother Peng. Peng explains that he came early to study harder. He says he is over 20 years old and wants to improve his level. He adds that senior masters will arrive today, and our boy can ask them for help. Wang Teng says he likes his mentor and thinks he is a wonderful person. He thinks to himself that now is the best time to build trust. Suddenly, Wang Teng turns to the girl. She blushes, but Wang Teng asks her if she believes in fate. The girl stutters and tries to say something. She is confused about why he is asking such strange questions. It seems our boy wants to say more, but he doesn't know where to start. Silence fills the room. The surprised girl just looks at him, holding a book tight. Taking the book from her hands, our boy says loudly that he notices she is practicing the great palm technique. He says he wants her to teach him. Her friend realizes something might happen and tells the girl not to rush with an answer. At that moment, our boy shouts that he has a lot to do and runs ahead. Wang Teng hears a question about whether he is leaving, and he replies that he is going home soon. Looking at his screen, Wang Teng sees that he has reached an average skill level. In the evening, our boy eats a big meal as usual. He knows he needs to eat to get his energy back. His mother tells him not to rush since there is enough food. She says no one is going to take his plate away. Answering his parents, Wang Teng happily says the training went well. He adds that one of the boys complimented him and said he was talented. The father decides to encourage his son. He tells him to study and not worry about anything else because they have enough resources. Wang Teng decides he is no longer a beginner. He thinks that when he becomes a high-level master, he will show everyone. But for now, it is better to keep quiet so people don't think he is making it up. The guy is about to think about something else when his phone rings. His cheerful friend says they are already at the Rose Bar. He says they missed their friend and asks him to join them soon. As he leaves, our boy hears his parents saying he has been studying all day, which is good. They just ask him not to come back too late. Soon, Wang Teng arrives at the bar where his friends are. Standing at the entrance, he feels the place is familiar. After the Wang family disappeared, he never came here again. Wang Teng remembers how Shuji once shouted about family trouble. Back then, Wang Teng just brushed it off and said they should keep having fun instead of worrying. But now, everything is different. Wang Teng knows he must act differently with this second chance at life. Walking in, he hears his friends calling him. He notices Bai Wei smiling at him. He walks up and jokes that they are early, even though they say he is late. Wang Teng smiles and says the fun can start now that he is here. Since he arrived last, he pours himself a penalty drink. Yu Hao explains that his father recently caught him practicing martial arts, but he still managed to sneak out. Then, Yu Hao boasts that he is now a low-level master. The friends are impressed, because he is usually the only one with such good results. They joke that if anyone bothers them, Yu Hao will protect them. Bai Wei grabs our boy's arm and says he should have a drink with her. Wang Teng smiles and asks what she wants. Before she can answer, something strange happens. The boys turn their heads toward the door. A drunk guy is sitting on the floor, humming loudly. While the girl complains she is bored, Wang Teng asks about Zhenghua. Shuji angrily says Yuan is always following Li Cheng around like a puppy and has no time for them. Our boy defends him, saying everyone has their own goals. After another drink, Wang Teng says it is not worth talking about people like that. Suddenly, a stranger with a bottle notices their table. He walks over, leans on the sofa, and touches the red-haired girl's hair. He boldly asks Bai Wei to leave with him to have some fun. Yu Hao grabs the man's wrist and asks what he's doing. The stranger refuses to answer and hits Yu Hao, making him stumble. The troublemaker angrily asks if anyone else wants to stop him. He steps toward the others, acting like he owns the place. Yu Hao tells our boy that this man is a high-ranking martial artist, almost at the mid-level, so he cannot beat him. The stranger mocks them, calling them weak. Suddenly, Wang Teng turns and punches the guy with so much force that he flies across the room. The stranger lands on a chair, unable to speak. Wang Teng walks up and says the guy cannot even throw a proper punch, yet he acts like a winner. His friends look at him in surprise. They don't know what to say. Wang Teng says attacking his friends is unworthy. The opponent gets angry and jumps up to attack. Wang Teng blocks the hit easily, showing he is much stronger. He strikes again, sending the enemy flying into the wall. The system notifies Wang Teng that he gained points for strength and speed. Trying to get up, the opponent mutters something about a mid-level master. He can't believe our boy is this strong. He asks who Wang Teng is and threatens him. Standing over him, Wang Teng says he is not afraid. He lies and says his name is Li Cheng. He tells the guy he has 30 minutes to call for help. The stranger runs away, shouting that he will make them pay. Suddenly, our boy hears laughter behind him. The girl says he cleverly blamed everything on someone else. She notes that if the real Li Cheng finds out, he will be furious. The friends admire Wang Teng's strength, but he says they never asked him about it, so he didn't tell them. His friend shouts that since he kept secrets, he has to pay for the wine. Suddenly, Bai Wei steps in and hits her friend on the head. She shouts that if he doesn't stop acting stupid, she will teach him a lesson he won't forget. The managers, who hid when the conflict started, see the group leaving. They don't plan to stop them. One manager notes that Wang Teng has an average skill level and clearly has a complex background. He decides that the drunk guy, Gang Bao, was looking for trouble, so it was his own fault. The manager decides he definitely needs to tell the boss about this. Later at home, Bai Wei texts our boy to ask if he made it back safely. He replies that he is fine, so she shouldn't worry. However, something is bothering her, and she cannot fall asleep. She keeps remembering the moment at the bar when Wang Teng proudly said no one should dare touch his friends. This thought keeps her awake as she tosses and turns. The next day, our boy arrives at the sports club early. He is surprised to see other guys already working out. Smiling, Wang Teng whispers to himself that he won't be outworked, hinting that he plans to train even harder. Out of habit, he loudly greets everyone he sees. The brunette watches him and thinks he is acting strangely again. Meanwhile, Wang Teng looks at his screen and thinks he has achieved good results. He knows stronger people train on the second floor, so he decides to go check it out. Suddenly, the brunette stops him. She explains there is a rule that low-level masters are not allowed on the second floor. Smiling, Wang Teng thanks her for the info but says he already knows. She is shocked and talks about how he only joined a day ago but acts like a master, while people downstairs talk about how you can't learn everything in one day. Wang Teng opens the door upstairs. He looks inside to see who is there. He decides this is the perfect place for him to study. He starts running, shouting that he will show what he is capable of. A large man shouts angrily at him, asking if he is tired of bothering him. Our boy asks if he is training alone and says he will keep him company. The stranger doesn't like having someone run with him. He proposes a competition. If Wang Teng loses, he must leave him alone. Wang Teng smiles and adds a condition. He says if he wins, the large man must recognize him as his older brother. The man agrees, thinking the boy is dreaming. He picks up speed, shouting that it will never happen. Not much time passes before the large man is sitting on the floor, completely out of breath. Our boy stands over him. The man is shocked that the boy is so fast and skilled, as if he has been doing this for decades. Wang Teng offers a hand to the loser and asks if he is ready to admit defeat. The stranger grabs his hand and calls him older brother. He realizes the competition was fair. Hugging the large man, Wang Teng explains it is a win-win situation because he will cover for him in the future. The stranger is confused, but the guy thinks to himself that he is building important connections. Turning around, our boy tells everyone else that they can train with him too. As he walks away, rumors spread that Wang Teng is crazy for starting from the first floor so quickly. People want to know which family he comes from. He waves to his new acquaintance and goes to compete with other guys. The new friend doesn't really know our boy, but he also thinks there is something wrong with his head. Wang Teng has no plans to stop. He wants to improve his skills as fast as possible. He sees a clear goal. He understands that thanks to his system board, he can monitor everything. Studying his stats, he sees he has almost reached the level of a high-level student. Thanks to a glitch in the system, he is growing very fast. He realizes he must rely on this second chance at life. Walking away, he says out loud that since he was chosen, he needs to sort everything out. The next day, sitting in the dining room, Bai Wei asks her friend what is going on with him. Lately, he has been busy even on weekends. Wang Teng replies that he is just busy with work. Suddenly, everyone stares at the entrance. They can't believe their eyes. Zhenghua walks in, and he looks terrible, covered in bandages. Surprised, Shuji confirms it is really him, though he has no idea what happened. All the friends looked at our boy, suspecting he was involved. Wang Teng quickly raises his hands and tells everyone to calm down, saying he had nothing to do with it. The injured guy turns to the group and asks angrily why they are laughing. Our boy's friend honestly says that looking like that, he definitely can't talk about being handsome. Zhenghua didn't wait. He started the conflict right away, saying the guy would pay for his words. The scared Shuji thought he was about to fly off his chair, but he saw a hand quickly stop his opponent's hand. It was our boy, who calmly said there was no need to be upset because Wang Teng probably made a mistake. The attacker tried to pull his hand back, but he couldn't. He realized his wrist was being held tight, so he started shouting to be let go. Wang Teng smiled and said he would do as the man asked. A moment later, the guy flew back because Wang Teng let go so suddenly. While the bad guy tried to complain, Wang Teng said it wasn't his fault since he only did what he was asked to do. As they ran away, the guys shouted that they would not let this go. They told our boy to come to the martial arts hall after class to test their strength. The friends immediately asked their comrade if he would really go to the hall since the guys were very strong, but he replied calmly that they probably didn't hear him right because he never promised anyone he would come. After some time, our boy was in the classroom talking to someone, but he didn't finish because a man shouted loudly that he knew they were making fun of him. He said they would have to fight in the classroom because there was no other place. Bai Wei saw Li Cheng and told him not to be reckless. She said no one needed to fight. Our boy put his hand on the girl's head and told her not to worry because the result would be the same. The opponent agreed and said Wang Teng would still lose. He proudly said he would show everyone what a true blade master looks like. A minute later, the enemy moved toward our boy. However, he was amazed to how fast the guy moved to the other side. He asked where Wang Teng was and said they needed to end this. A few seconds later, the boys went to different corners of the classroom and then faced each other. The bad guy looked at our boy with hate and fear. Suddenly, the opponent walked toward Wang Teng, saying our boy was weak and could not win. But before Li Cheng could do anything, Wang Teng hit him with a powerful blow. Rolling his eyes, the opponent said it was too fast and unfair. Our boy didn't say anything. He just watched our boy lying in the middle of the classroom. While the surprised students watched, he picked up the defeated man and carried him to his friends. Wang Teng said he had a mild concussion and asked them to take him to the medical center. The friends immediately complimented him on his strength. They suggested going to the canteen to eat. A guy with glasses stood to the side wondering when our boy became so strong. He also wondered if this man would ever talk to him after his betrayal. As he stepped outside, Wang Teng noted that speed played a big role in the battle. A moment later, something interesting caught his attention. He looked at a counter nearby. He was interested in Lin Chuhan. He realized this beauty was working to earn some extra money. Two colleagues approached the girl. They took turns saying they could take her home because it was late. It was clear the guys were competing for her attention. Suddenly, a stranger shouted that they should talk less and work more. Chuhan said she could get there herself. Our boy watched everything but didn't step in yet. A minute later, someone called her a beauty. Wang Teng asked her to pour him a cup of milk tea. Turning around, Chuhan couldn't believe her eyes. She called out his name to make sure. Smiling, the guy said it was him. The girl said calmly that the drink cost 18 yuan. Her colleagues looked at him with jealousy. One of the boys asked who he was. She said he was her classmate. They didn't believe he was just a neighbor. Wang Teng thought his friend was having a hard time with these people. To help her, he asked when she finished work and suggested they go for a walk. She said she was leaving now. The surprised colleagues looked at the girl like she betrayed them, but they said nothing. Wang Teng happily said he would walk her home. Standing on the street next to her bicycle, the girl thanked Wang Teng and said she would go on her own now. Wang Teng looked at her and couldn't look away. He pulled himself together and said it would be better if he took her home, just in case. A second later, she tossed him a helmet, hinting it was time to go. However, Chuhan asked if he wanted to ride her bicycle. An awkward silence followed. They just looked at each other. Our boy put the helmet on her and said they should go since it was getting dark and they had to get up early. He decided to ride the bike with the girl on the back. He told her to hold on tight because he was riding fast. Her colleagues watched from around the corner. Suddenly, Wang Teng spoke to the two, leaving them shocked that they had been noticed. Wang Teng says that next time, the boys should use her full name, not just her first name. Walking through the city, he jokes about how he helped her handle those two guys. He asks how she plans to thank him. Chuhan says calmly that she will help him with his college exams. She adds that this is why they sit at the same desk. Wang Teng stutters. He was expecting a different answer. A few minutes later, she stops and says she can get home from there. As she walks away, he shouts and asks her to check the basket on the bike. She is surprised to find a drink inside. She tells him it is his milk tea, but he says it is for her. He claims he hasn't had that drink in a long time because he doesn't like the taste. She is surprised because she remembers him drinking it at school last week and saying it was delicious. Wang Teng says quietly that he was just joking. He says she should go home now since it is dark. Chuan notices he has been acting strangely lately, like a different person. He watches her leave, thinking they will see each other tomorrow. Our boy looks happy, but suddenly, his mood changes because he hears a loud noise nearby. Wang Teng becomes alert. The bad guys in the alley are not moving. They seem to be waiting for something. Finally, one of the leaders notices him and thinks he looks like a martial arts student. They feel there might be trouble with him. One of them turns around and watches him closely. Time seems to stand still as they look at each other. The boss says the authorities will arrive soon and they need to take the boy hostage. Wang Teng runs away. To stop him, they fire a warning into the air. The guy freezes. The villain tells him not to run but to come to them, raising his hands. Wang Teng asks them not to hurt him because he can be useful. He thinks he needs to stay calm. However, the boss hits him hard. They drag drag him into the van and shout to leave quickly. They push him into the car roughly. The leader shouts to leave because they can hear sirens in the distance. One criminal complains about being out of breath, even though he didn't carry the hostage. Wang Teng says he is just an ordinary person, but he thinks to himself that now is not the right time to escape. Suddenly, the driver shouts that the police are behind them. The boss says they need to lose them. The partner says they are under attack. The criminals hold Wang Teng out of the window and say they will hurt the hostage if the police keep following. The boss and his partner start using their weapons, using the guy as a shield. For several minutes, loud noises come from all sides, and the criminals manage to escape. Our boy realizes these bandits even took out the police. He knows the chase is over, but now he needs to deal with these bad guys himself, or he won't survive. In the suburbs, they order him out of the car. Walking through the forest, one guy says there is a hardware store nearby where they can hide. Wang Teng thinks to himself that they are distracted. He knows he has only one chance. Our boy knows these are bad people, so he doesn't feel guilty about what he is about to do. The boss warns everyone about a ditch ahead. Suddenly, they hear a noise behind them. They look back and see the boss lying on the ground, defeated. The bad guys look at each other and ask where the boy is. A moment later, Wang Teng pins another opponent down with his foot while watching the others. The guys realize something is wrong with this teenager. They want to deal with him quickly so they can escape. However, Wang Teng moves incredibly fast. While they use their weapons where he was standing, he appears behind them instantly. One of the villains screams in surprise. Our boy managed to get close very fast. He knows he has to defeat them all. Hiding behind a tree, Wang Teng hears the opponent telling him to show himself, but he waits. He hears the villains complaining that they are out of ammo. Realizing it is time to act, our boy jumps out from the bushes. He heads straight for the kidnappers. He grabs one assassin and slams him face first into the ground. The bad guy looks at Wang Teng with horror, realizing they made a mistake. Wang Teng watches the man, knowing he will catch him. A moment later, they are shooting at each other. Our boy sees a bullet meant for him hit a tree instead. Looking at the defeated villain, Wang Teng tells himself it is over, but he feels sick. He wants to leave this scary place. Just as he starts to move, he sees a light and hears a noise. Crawling out of the bushes, the surviving villain says this is a shame. He watches our boy, trying to gather strength. A minute later, another shot rings out. This one seems like it will hit its target. Wang Teng stands still, angry at himself for almost failing. He realizes if the villain hadn't missed, he would have died like in his past life. He shouts in anger. He tells himself to stay calm and not get upset. Standing in the forest, Wang Teng takes a moment to collect his thoughts. Finally, he approaches the gun and picks it up carefully with a napkin. While wiping it, he thinks about how he didn't know there was another weapon. The police probably won't know about it either, so he can use it. A few minutes later, officers arrive and examine the scene. One officer says all the criminals are gone except for the student. Our boy sits near a tree shouting for them to stay away. He says he didn't want to do this. The officer says the student is in shock and it wasn't his fault. He says they will question him later. The next day, everyone is in class. Wang Teng sits at his desk, improving his mental skills instead of combat ones. He decides knowledge is useful too. He realizes the system can track learning abilities, so he wants to understand how it works. Chuhan sits next to him, watching him closely. She doesn't ask questions, but she thinks he is acting even stranger than before. Wang Teng notices her looking and asks if something is wrong. Instead of answering, she turns away quickly. Wang Teng is confused. Blushing, the girl scolds herself for feeling like she is falling in love. She is afraid of this feeling and doesn't want him to know. She tells herself to control her emotions next time. Suddenly, Shuji calls out to our boy. He asks if Wang Teng wants to go to Joe's party this weekend. The guy smiles and says he plans to go to the martial arts hall instead. A moment later, Bai Wei grabs his shoulder. She calls him boring. She says he needs to balance study and rest, so he should come to the party. Embarrassed, he agrees to go since all his friends will be there. The weekend comes quickly, and Wang Teng is at the girl's house. He feels bored and thinks he shouldn't have listened to his friends. Socializing is more tiring than training. Entering the hall, the girl apologizes for keeping everyone waiting. She smiles, but everyone is focused on how beautiful she looks. Shuji says Miss Zhou is stunning. Everyone notices Li Cheng, but Wang Teng's friends don't know why he is there. Wang Teng tells his friend to eat his chicken quietly because Li Cheng gets along with everyone. Suddenly, the girl turns to our boy. She says she doesn't know him, but wants to know which family he comes from. Wang Teng says he is just an ordinary guest. A stranger whispers to her that he is the 5th young master of the Wang family. Smiling, she says she understands now, noting he is the youngest. A few minutes later, she announces the main event. She asks everyone to go to the hunting grounds. She has a special gift for whoever catches the most games. Our boy wonders if this is a coincidence since he recently unlocked the shooting skill. Outside, he is told the Zhou family has unique weapons. When he asks asks where Bai Wei is, he learns she is playing with a water pistol and won't join the hunt. A few minutes later, a man shouts that he hit a target. He tells Wang Teng the prey was almost invisible, but he still hit it. Our boy smiles and says they might find something more interesting deeper in the forest. Suddenly, his eyes widened. A small fox runs toward him as fast as if it were being chased. Wang Teng stands in the animal's path, not knowing what to do. The fox knocks down one of the participants and keeps running. An angry young man asks Li Cheng what he is doing, saying he must be crazy. The group asks where the animal went. Wang Teng stands still, looking somewhere. He doesn't say anything, but he is watching the fox cub which is hiding behind his leg. Smiling, our boy turns to Mr. Li and says that fate brought this fox cub to him, so he wants to keep it. At first, he is annoyed and doesn't understand, but when the hostess appears, he changes his mind. He says the animal is truly special and will get along with Wang Teng, so no one will fight over it. Wang Teng knows who to thank, so he shares his warm words with Miss Zhou. But a moment later, everyone hears a loud explosion. Clouds of smoke rise above the night forest. The scared owner watches closely, trying to understand what happened. Pulling herself together, the beauty shouts that no one should panic. She tells all the guests to go to the estate where they will be safe. Then, she tells her assistants to find out what caused the blast. As the other boys move away quickly, some say the Zhou family guards can handle it. Wang Teng turns to his friends and says he wants to go see what happened. He asks the guys to look after his fox. Wang Teng leaves, while his friends talk about getting home quickly. At that moment, the mistress of the house notices something surprising. She sees our boy running at lightning speed into the forest toward the fire. Miss Zhou thinks this guy must be an advanced martial arts student because of his incredible speed. She feels his strength is greater than Li Cheng's, though she doesn't understand how that is possible. A security guard interrupts her thoughts. He says the sound came from far away. They checked the area and found nothing, but the owner insisted they check again. Meanwhile, Wang Teng runs forward as fast as he can. He realizes something interesting is happening. To get a better view, he jumps onto a tree branch. A moment later, his eyes widened. He looks into the distance, trying to understand what he sees. Logic refuses to believe it. Our boy looks at a huge crater in the rocky ground. Wang Teng realizes only a professional master could do something like this. Our boy thinks he needs to be careful to avoid a bad outcome. He decides to rely on his system. For a moment, he remembers the past, but he quickly focuses on the present. He decides that masters create bubbles with skills during battle. This means there might be something useful there. A minute passes, and Wang Teng feels angry, though he doesn't know why. A moment later, bright flames light up the night sky again. It seems something wild is happening inside the crater. Our boy hears someone inside laughing loudly. The stranger is surrounded by fire, seeming to feed on it. Our boy uses the weapon he had hidden nearby. He is glad he hid it in a bird's nest earlier, so the authorities didn't find it. Because of this, he is able to defeat the stranger. A moment later, our boy finds several skill bubbles nearby. He starts catching them, realizing the defeated man won't need them anymore. This gives him extra experience. He checks the screen in front of his eyes. He can't find anything useful at first. The skill window is acting strangely. A moment later, he sees a bubble called Ghostly Fist of Ice. He doesn't know what it is, but he wants to try it. He decides to touch the ball carefully with his finger. Suddenly, something incredible happens. It feels like something cold appears in front of him. Wang Teng feels like he is being hugged by hot fire on his right side and ice on his left. The two forces seem to exist together, but a minute later, the feelings confuse him. He thinks the fire and ice skills are fighting each other. Wang Teng falls to the ground, struggling with the sensation. Raising his head, Wang Teng decides to take the risk to see what happens. Suddenly, the power of ice and fire becomes stronger. Sighing heavily, our boy realizes his risk was worth it. Looking at his right hand, where the fire is, Wang Teng sees the system is working well. Far away, the Zhou family guards watch the flames erupting from the crater like a volcano. The force of the explosion knocks one man's glasses off. He tells his colleagues he has no idea what is happening, but it looks supernatural. They realize it is a dangerous situation. Some time passes, and Wang Teng walks quickly toward the cottage. He opens the door confidently but pauses. He looks ahead intently. The guests are so busy discussing something that they don't even notice Wang Teng entering the living room. At that moment, our boy's friend walks up to him. He doesn't say anything but stares at Wang Teng so intensely that Wang Teng wonders what is wrong. But before they can talk, the guests start clapping loudly. The hostess announces that Wang Teng doesn't talk much about himself, but since he is an advanced martial arts student, she stops mid-sentence. Walking closer, the girl asks him what he found out since he was gone for a while. Shuji whispers to Wang Teng that Miss Zhou told everyone he would explain what happened when he returned. Wang Teng says loudly that he understands, but he thinks to himself that it was risky to reveal anything. He He says Miss Joe is just joking. He claims he is just an ordinary student with no special skills unlike her bodyguards. The girl suspects something. She asks where he was for so long, even after her help arrived. Laughing, our boy says it doesn't matter. He says he only left to satisfy his curiosity. He claims he didn't find anything but made it look like a fight between martial artists. He mentions that the area around the explosion was burned, which everyone probably knows. Wang Teng thinks to himself that he created the fire, so he would be in trouble if the truth came out. He insists that is all he knows. He says since her bodyguards found the fire, he decided to return. He remembers the guards asking where the fire came from. He knew it was important not to leave evidence. To make his story convincing, he sighs and says he was shaken by what he saw, so he went for a walk. In reality, he hid the secret weapon in his motorcycle to avoid being caught. He sighs again and tells everyone he is telling the truth, even though he is hiding details. Miss Joe interrupts, saying she is not an ordinary person who will accept such a simple explanation. Our boy says if she doesn't believe him, why ask? He adds that he can take a lie detector test if she wants. The girl comes closer and suggests they go back inside, as it would be rude to continue this conversation in front of guests. Shuji realizes the conversation is getting tense. He tells his friend they can leave. Bai Wei asks Wang Teng for a ride home on his motorcycle since she doesn't have one. He agrees. Later, lying on his bed at home, Wang Teng tells himself it was good he went into the forest. He is happy because he gained access to many things and found a valuable treasure. He knows the weapon is worth millions. He remembers his father gave him a few million, which he wasted. He realizes his father was poor and ambitious back then. While packing a bag, he looks at his fox cub lying on the bed. Holding an egg in his hand, he thinks this is the item the masters fought for. He doesn't know why it is so special. He admits he has no special talent. Without the system, he would never have become a martial arts student. Looking at the board, he wants to learn more about it. The next morning, Wang Teng wakes up early. He has a lot to do. Putting on a sweater, he says he slept well. He runs to school and is glad he arrives on time. Standing at the classroom door, he is surprised that all the kids are looking at him. Suddenly, his classmates thank him, saying he helped them get a unique opportunity. He has no idea what he did. A classmate explains that the Ministry of Education changed the rules for martial arts exams. Now, intermediate students can participate too. They think Wang Teng told them about this in advance, so they wouldn't be scared. He doesn't know what they are talking about since he never said that, but he decides to play along. He walks to the middle of the class and shouts about what a blessing it is. He asks his friends not to forget him when they succeed. Sitting down, he tells himself they are too optimistic. He asks Chuhan if it is true she is a mid-level master. She doesn't answer. He says she has been reading a lot about martial arts, which is a sign she should try it. She is embarrassed but thanks him politely. He looks at her with kindness. He thinks she is young and innocent. Picking up his pen, he decides he should match her effort. He piles up books next to him and yawns loudly, surprising a classmate. Later, walking down the street, he thinks about meditating. He wonders if it is worth it, since boring lessons make him fall asleep faster. Then he remembers the egg. He decides to go to the pet store to see if something will hatch from it. Suddenly, someone shouts for everyone to look, though the guy doesn't understand what they mean. Wang Teng turns around and sees a stranger standing nearby, frozen in place. He wonders why. At that moment, our boy feels large feathers falling on him. Suddenly, he notices a huge, scary bird hovering right above his head. It looks like it could easily pick him up and carry him away. Wang Teng thinks with horror that this is a real monster. He has no idea what to do. Confused, he decides to scream loudly to scare the bird. He screams at the top of his lungs. It works for a few seconds, and the bird falls back. However, he knows it will come back, and he has nowhere to run. A second later, our boy jumps up and runs the other way. The bird is not ordinary. It starts breathing fire and could easily burn anyone. Wang Teng knows he needs a plan. Until then, he runs as far as he can. He doesn't understand why the huge bird is chasing him and ignoring other people. Just then, the creature catches up and appears in front of him. Running away, Wang Teng asks the bird what it wants. Suddenly, Wang Teng remembers the egg in his bag. He realizes that must be the reason. He shouts loudly that he did not steal the egg. Stopping, the guy shows the bird what is in his bag. He says he will give the treasure back, but only if the bird stops chasing him. Looking ahead, our boy knows he has to come up with something. In reality, he doesn't want to lose the valuable item he found. But then, something unexpected happens. Someone shoots an arrow at the bird. Wang Teng asks a passerby who did it. The passerby says the savior is part of the city guard, so he must be strong. Wang Teng wants to ask more, but he notices a bubble on the ground. He thinks it is interesting that monsters drop items like this. He wonders why the bubble is empty since the man defeated the bird with one hit. He thinks the reward should be bigger. At that moment, men in suits tell everyone to stay back for safety. They say they will clean up the city quickly. Our boy knows about the city guard. They are a special group that protects cities. Most of them have strong martial arts skills, but he is more interested in the mysterious egg in his bag. Later, sitting at home, Wang Teng wonders about the spiritual power skill he received. He doesn't know how to use it yet. Suddenly, he feels a change. It feels like he is wearing colored contact lenses. He checks his phone to read about it. Looking at the egg, he realizes spiritual power is the name of the fire energy around the item. He wonders if this skill can help him see hidden talents. Realizing it is possible, Wang Teng is happy. Now he can see how strong other fighters are. But a moment later, he grabs his head. He feels dizzy. He realizes that spiritual power uses a lot of energy, so he cannot use it forever. Later, running through the forest, he thinks about how useful this skill is. Suddenly, he feels someone chasing him. He decides to activate his spiritual power. Seeing a stranger, Wang Teng realizes the man is a martial arts master because of his special energy. A few minutes later, the stranger looks at our boy. He sternly tells him to return what he took from Mount Ban. Wang Teng says he has never been there, so there is no need to make things up. The stranger smiles and asks where he got the gloves and sword if he wasn't there. He says they will find everyone involved. He stretches out his hand and tells Wang Teng to give up the items, or he will show him the difference between a student and a master. Playing along, our boy scratches his head. He says he will give everything back, but only if the stranger comes closer and spares him. Our boy knows his advantage. He reaches for his sword with lightning speed. The enemy sees this but isn't scared. He stands there and smiles. He says he knew our boy wasn't as simple as he looked. In a moment, the stranger creates a powerful stream of fire in his hand and attacks. The guy is confident he can defeat the boy easily, but he doesn't expect Wang Teng to catch his fist. Wang Teng feels confident because of his recent training. The stranger is shocked and can't believe it. He tries to move, but nothing works. The stranger feels like he is surrounded by flames. The tension grows. Neither wants to lose. The stranger, barely standing, says it is impossible for a schoolboy to have such skills. Unexpectedly, Wang Teng moves to finish the fight. The opponent uses a secret method to create a defensive wall with special energy. He wants to hurt our boy. Wang Teng decides to show everything he can do. He uses the cold energy he learned a couple of days ago. He directs the frost power at the stranger. A few minutes later, Wang Teng walks over to where the man is lying and looks at him carefully. The stranger shouts that they should not dare approach him, warning that many will seek revenge for him. Kneeling down, our boy looks closely at the bubbles on the ground. Sighing heavily, our boy says out loud that he somehow managed to defeat the martial arts master. He picks up an earth element bubble. He realizes this is another new skill. He adds that he is moving faster toward becoming an all-powerful martial artist. He thinks to himself that this world is dangerous. He wonders if there is a way to use both powers at once. Later, sitting in front of his computer, our boy reads a notification. His custom-made weapon storage case is ready. Overjoyed, Wang Teng says this is great news. Now the sword and gloves he found will be safe. But a second later, he sighs heavily. He says this is another big expense for his small budget. A moment later, he looks at the screen in surprise. The system asks him to enter his martial artist ID. He has no idea what that is. Our boy grimaces and complains. He says something is wrong with the store. He adds that they should send the goods first before asking for personal information. The store manager messages him, saying he needs to go to the Martial Arts Association to get a certificate. He explains that if Wang Teng has a special weapon, he just needs to provide his ID number, and the order will be delivered. The next day at school, our boy learns that classes are canceled. However, no one is leaving yet. Wang Teng sits in his place silently. He looks at his neighbor, who is busy reading. The girl blushes. She has no idea why he is looking at her like that. She wants to defuse the situation but doesn't know how. For a moment, the beauty looks closely at her classmate. His gaze shows confidence and inner strength. Suddenly, Wang Teng stands up and turns to his friend, surprising her. Chuhan asks why he called her. She wonders why he is getting close. Finally, Wang Teng leans close to her ear and begins to whisper. He explains that he needs to go to the Martial Arts Association. He asks her to cover for him if the teacher returns. Jumping up from her seat, the class monitor asks loudly why he is skipping class again and why he needs the association. Wang Teng smiles and says he has important business. He tells her not to worry because he won't do anything he isn't sure of. Without waiting for an answer, he leaves the classroom shouting that he is going. Standing there, Chuhan wonders about him getting a master's certificate. It is hard to believe he has reached such a level. Arriving at the location, our boy stands in front of the building. Looking at it carefully, he smiles and notes that it is an amazing building. He notices that many visitors are masters. Wang Teng feels embarrassed by the crowd. He doesn't want to be seen, so he decides to disguise himself. After a while, the guy walks confidently through the hall toward the administrators. He is wearing a mask that looks like an alien, but he doesn't care. He tells the staff he is there to receive a martial arts master certificate. The girl isn't bothered by his outfit and tells him to follow her. Pointing to a machine, she gives him instructions. He is required to pass a test inside the machine. If he passes, he will get the certificate in less than 10 minutes. Unexpectedly, the system notifies him that he is now a martial arts master. Sitting in the waiting area, he hears a notification sound from the staff's side. The employee scratches his head, Confused, he calls a colleague named Lao Fu to look at the screen. He shouts that someone named Wang Teng became a master at age 17. The colleague says he recognizes the name. A couple of days ago, he saw a report about him. Checking the security footage, the officer confirms it is the same teenager who reached an advanced level in less than a month. He says he wanted to watch him, and now the guy is already a master. He calls the guy a genius. He says there is a dark horse in this year's exam. Our boy holds his ID card, knowing it gives him many privileges. He remembers he needs to hurry and send the ID info to the seller. After that, he must return to school immediately. Sometime later, the boy is back at school talking to classmates. Suddenly, Chuhan approaches Wang Teng and asks him to wait for her. After class, they stand outside. Both are silent, making the situation tense. The scared and blushing girl looks at her classmate. She wants to tell him something but hesitates. As usual, our boy smiles and tells her to just say it. The beauty stutters something about opportunities. He doesn't understand at first. A moment later, Chuhan asks loudly if he can lend her some money. She looks down as he calmly asks how much she needs. She quickly replies that she needs 150,000. She promises to pay it back. She knows it is a lot, but after the exam she will get a part-time job. Wang Teng immediately asks for her account number to transfer the money. Looking at his friend, he wonders why a student needs such a large sum. Rubbing her eyes, the beauty says she will repay the debt as soon as possible. She knows everyone needs money right now, but our boy tells her not to worry about it. He says the most important thing is to focus on their studies. Everything else can come later. The beauty feels very shy. After he speaks, she quickly turns and runs away. Wang Teng is worried about the situation. He knows he needs to find out what is wrong in his friend's life. Until he finds out, he will not be able to relax. Wang Teng decides to follow his classmate to understand where to start. He realizes her family has a small shop. Turning around, our boy sees some suspicious people walking toward the mini-market. A bald man looks at our boy angrily. He tells him not to stare, or he will pay for it. The student turns away, pretending to understand. However, he continues to watch closely. He hears the group shouting that if they don't get the money today, they will destroy everything. The men kick the door open to show they can do whatever they want. A large man immediately asks if his money is ready. He throws several soda bottles on the counter to show he is serious. Opening a bottle, the man listens to the woman making excuses. She says her daughter borrowed from relatives, so they will have the money. She adds that they need a few more days to collect the full amount. The man shouts that he is tired of waiting. He says he already did them a big favor and will not wait anymore. Pointing at the women, he says they probably don't intend to return the money and are just stalling. The scared woman says they will give everything back. She says they collected some money, but it is not enough. She says if they have a couple more days, everything will be done. The bald man shouts angrily that he is done waiting. If there is no money, he will destroy the store. He tells his group to start breaking everything. Chuhan knows that if the store is destroyed, her parents cannot start over. She shouts for them to stop. She says they will get their debt back because she is ready to give them 150,000 right now. The large man calms down for a moment. He grins and asks where she got so much money. The girl's mother asks her daughter why she is saying that since they don't have the money. Trying to protect her mother, Chuhan says she will transfer the money immediately. She adds that after that, the men must leave and forget about them. The man says they will leave when they get the money. However, he says the debt of 150,000 was from a few days ago. He adds that because of the delay, the amount is now 200,000, and he expects it immediately. The surprised woman asks why the amount changed since no one mentioned extra fees. The angry girl screams that the real criminals are in front of her and she could report them. Folding his arms, the man says he won't bother anyone, but it will be hard for the family to open a store in the future. He feels confident they cannot pay. He raises his hand and says if the girl becomes his girlfriend, he will forgive the debt. Hiding her daughter, the owner shouts that this will never happen. Hearing this, the large man laughs. He says they chose their path. Suddenly, a voice from behind asks what the man is doing. Chuhan knows it is her friend, but she wonders why he is there. The boss looks at the confident teenager. He asks his group if this is the curious boy from earlier. He says the savior has arrived, hinting that the boy is weak and alone. But Wang Teng says calmly that he is not there to save beauty. He says he just wants to clean up the city and get rid of bad people. The large man orders his guys to defeat the boy, so he remembers it forever. For a moment, no one moves. As he blocks a hit, our boy advises the men to be careful and not damage the store. A couple of minutes later, the opponents are thrown into different corners of the room. Wang Teng finishes dealing with another guy. The gang leader watches in shock. He can't believe it. Dragging one opponent, Wang Teng tells the boss they should go outside to finish this. To show what he can do, he throws one of the guys to the ground. The leader orders two of his men to attack the boy at the same time since he is alone, but Wang Teng is amused. He thinks this is a good workout to warm up. A second later, he easily hits his opponents. Seeing his guys defeated quickly, the large man watches our boy with anger. As he tries to leave, the man says this isn't the end and they will meet again. The student doesn't let him leave so easily. He reaches into his backpack. Realizing there is no point in chasing him, he throws a heavy stone at the man. The man falls to the ground. Our boy walks up to him and says there is no need to use bad words. Wang Teng thinks to himself about how even ordinary people leave behind skill bubbles. Out loud, he tells the man to hand over the contract immediately. With a shaking hand, the man holds out the paper and says it is the contract. Approaching his friend, the guy loudly tells the girl to read the document carefully to see if everything is written correctly. He notes that the family borrowed 100,000, but for some reason, the man is demanding twice as much. He says that stealing money seems easier for them than earning it. A moment later, our boy adds that the large man should be careful. He hints that he should follow the news, especially the story about what happened to the bank robbers. Bowing to Wang Teng, the bald man says he admits his mistake and asks for forgiveness. The surprised beauty thanks her friend for his help, but she asks what he is doing in this part of the city. Wang Teng asks if she would believe him if he said he followed her. Chu-han turns away coldly and says she won't talk to him anymore. She goes to check on her mother. Our boy doesn't want to leave it like that, so he goes inside the store. The woman sincerely thanks her daughter's classmate for his help and invites him to stay for dinner. Chu-han tries to say he is just a boy who sits at her desk, so there is no point in him staying. A minute later, the woman says her daughter took their savior to the apartment on the second floor while she prepares food. The guy doesn't know where the girl's father is, and he finds it strange that he didn't protect the family. He asks about it. The beauty says calmly that he will meet him. Opening the door, Chu-han tells her father she is back. The man lying on the sofa seems to be sleeping or unconscious. Wang Teng looks at him in surprise and asks what happened. His classmate explains that her father used to be a martial arts master. When he returned from the Xingwu continent, he lost his legs and his spirit was broken. The boy thinks to himself that he never realized the world of martial arts was so dangerous. He asks why she continues to study martial arts and wants to take the exam after what happened to her father. Suddenly, the beauty becomes angry. She says she wants revenge because her father's partner said their rivals set a trap for him. The guy asks why his colleagues aren't helping. She explains they are busy fighting on the continent and can't return. She adds that her younger sister recently fell ill, so her mother had no choice but to borrow money. Wang Teng is surprised that his classmate has a sister. Stopping at the door, the beauty sighs and explains that they don't know what the sickness is, which is the main problem. She knocks on the door and tells her little sister that a friend has come with her. When the door opens, Wang Teng is surprised by what he sees. At that moment, a voice in his head warns him to stand back. His classmate also reminds him not to get close. While the girl talks to Chusia, the guy wonders how an ordinary person can create so many skill bubbles. He hopes it has nothing to do with her illness. Some force draws him to the bubbles. He notices with horror that one of the bubbles is filled with the power of poison. This is extremely strange. To make sure no one notices, Wang Teng turns away. He wonders where this girl got a connection to toxic substances. Chu-han asks why he is sweating. He jokes that it is because he is standing next to her. Chusia asks who Wang Teng is. He is happy he managed to absorb the skill without being caught. The girl introduces him as a friend. Our boy realizes this girl can't go outside. He assumes she has the poison of the demonic lotus, a rare condition that doctors can't fix. This means Chusia is full of poisonous power, which is why her sister warned him. Suddenly, the girl asks if this young man is her sister's boyfriend. The two immediately deny it, saying it isn't true. Seeing his friend is worried, Wang Teng points it out, but she says it was just a joke. Wang Teng wants to know more, so he slowly approaches the little girl. She looks at him in surprise and asks if he is afraid of her like everyone else. The hero asks quietly why he should be afraid. Chusia says everyone should be afraid because even the air around her is dangerous. The guy ignores this and walks close to the girl. He pats her head and asks if he looks hurt. The surprised girl realizes he is fine and wonders how it is possible. Wang Teng doesn't want to reveal his secret, so he jokes that he loves drinking berry tea, which makes his immunity strong. He tells the surprised girl to touch him if she doesn't believe him. He extends his hand to prove his words. The girl thinks to herself that nothing bad is happening. She is surprised by the feeling. The sticky, dangerous air around her seems to disappear. She looks at him carefully, seemingly understanding who he is. Wang Teng signals her not to speak about it. Chu-han suddenly says that if he knows anything, she hopes he will tell them because it is important. Our boy can't say everything yet. Turning around, he says there is no need to worry. If he finds a solution, he will let them know. Realizing her sister is worried, Chusia asks her not to make life difficult for our boy. Approaching her sister, the red-haired beauty explains there is no need to worry. She says her participation in the martial arts exam is approved, so she will soon become a master and find a cure for the disease. But these words do not inspire the little girl. She states that their mother forbade her from doing such things. Looking at his screen, Wang Teng thinks he didn't expect to receive the power of poison. He realizes he can use it in future battles. He knows poisoning an enemy before they are ready is unfair, but he has no choice. After After some time, the women see the guy off, telling him he can visit anytime. Standing outside, our boy decides to figure out the rest of his skills. He decides his shooting isn't going well, so he needs to go to the shooting range to find better skill bubbles. The next day, Wang Teng goes to the range as planned. Watching the crowd, he hears a man praising another's skill. The stranger denies it, saying he is just being flattered. Our boy notices many bubbles nearby and decides this guy actually has talent, even if he hides it. However, our boy gets distracted when someone starts talking about a legendary shot that changed direction. That sounds amazing to our boy. The man continues, saying it is a pity the shooter was too arrogant. He fell for a trick and used his best skill to defeat the girl he loved the most. Wang Teng asks what happened next. They say the guy had a nervous breakdown and is now being treated in a hospital on the edge of the city. Finishing the story, the stranger sighs heavily. Our boy decides he absolutely has to visit that place. Entering the hospital, Wang Teng notices a doctor on duty. He knows he needs to distract him to get inside. Just then, the doctor stands up, saying he hears strange sounds. Our boy, standing behind him, whispers something and uses a skill. A moment later, the doctor is lying on the floor. Our boy knows he won't have any problems with this man. He puts the doctor on the sofa, takes his coat, and grabs a bunch of keys. Wang Teng has a clear goal. He knows that once he achieves it, he will leave immediately. Entering one of the rooms, he sees many skill bubbles. This is a big discovery, as he didn't know people with mental trauma could leave such things. A patient notices the fake doctor and asks if he knows him. Without waiting for an answer, he jumps up and claims to be the creator of this world. As he leaves, the guy asks with irritation if it is time to take his pills. A few minutes later, Wang Teng opens the next door, but he hears strange voices inside. Wang Teng stands in the hallway for a while. He tells himself the shooter is nowhere to be seen. There is only one room left, so the mysterious man must be there. Opening the door, our boy sees a man sitting with his eyes closed. He looks ordinary, but it is unclear if he is sleeping or thinking. Coming closer, Wang Teng is surprised. He realizes this stranger has strong energy and many bubbles around him. This must be the shooter he wanted to find. Suddenly, the patient speaks to him sternly. He says the boy became a martial arts master at such an early age. Our boy is surprised and asks how the man knows. Pointing his finger, the patient replies that he simply felt it. He adds that he used to be a master too. A moment later, the man changes the subject. He says he hasn't smoked in a long time and asks if the boy has a cigarette. Wang Teng is surprised because he recently took a pack from his father. He hands it to the man. They look at each other in silence. Suddenly, the man hands our boy a flash drive and says this is why he came. Turning away, he says the guy can go now because he wants to sleep. He asks our boy to turn off the light. The surprised schoolboy doesn't know what to say, so he agrees. Standing in the corridor, Wang Teng can't believe a stranger gave him such a valuable thing. A minute later, he checks his screen and sees he earned 55 soul points in the hospital. Despite the bonus, he doesn't like this place. He decides to go home and check the flash drive. Inside the room, the man laughs softly and says a big surprise awaits the boy. Arriving home, our boy goes to his computer to check the drive. A moment later, he hears strange sounds coming from the video. He is confused. The video features a beautiful young woman. At first, he is confused, but he watches a little longer. He wonders why there is so much time left on the progress bar. Then, Wang Teng learns that shooting kung fu is a combination of martial arts and technology. It is a unique ability that includes physical fitness, shooting skills, and swordsmanship. The guy realizes the skill has changed, but he needs to figure out how to master it. He decides to start by getting some runic bullets. But first, the martial arts exam is on the schedule. A few days later, the news reports that there are only 2 days left until the college entrance exams start. The media wishes good luck to all the students. Wang Teng's father wants to cheer up his son. He says that if necessary, he can take the exam again next year so the boy shouldn't worry. Our boy's mother also wants to encourage him. However, she asks Wang Teng not to embarrass himself. She says if he does, they will be ashamed to look people in the eye. The father adds that this is an important stage in a young man's life. He says if our boy fails the exam, the whole family will believe he is not meant to be a martial arts master. Our boy closes his eyes and asks his parents if they really don't believe in him. He thinks to himself that a huge surprise awaits everyone when he takes the test. A couple of hours later, the teacher tells the students in the classroom to keep their participation cards with them. He says they cannot let years of study go to waste because of a small mistake. After this, the man says everyone on the list will receive cards and passes. He calls Chuhan first. The teacher explains that their class president is also participating in the martial arts exam. He says she is beautiful and very skilled. Suddenly, everyone hears the teacher call Wang Teng's name. He tells him to come and pick up his pass. Many students look at each other. They find it hard to believe that this guy decided to participate. One guy says Wang Teng is from a wealthy family and probably has connections, so he doesn't have to worry. Wang Teng doesn't care what anyone says about him. He knows that when his turn comes, everyone will be shocked by his skills. Only our boy's friends support him. He thinks they should give it their all and show their best side. Our boy remembers how his parents looked at him in surprise when he first told them he signed up. His father explained that the exam is not just fun. He said it is a real conflict, and our boy hasn't been training for very long. The mother didn't want to be strict, so she gently asked her son not to play with his life. Smiling, Wang Tang happily announced that if he doesn't pass the mid-level test, he won't have to participate in any fights. Outside, there are buses parked. The kids find it hard to believe these are the buses for the exam participants. The father tells his son to be careful. Wang Tang notes that it is time to go since no one will wait. The man adds that safety comes first. He says if it doesn't work out now, they will return next year. As he watches Wang Tang leave, the father hopes the boy will gain strength. Approaching Chuhan, our boy asks if she was waiting for him. The embarrassed beauty doesn't know what to answer. She timidly says she wasn't expecting him personally. To end the awkward moment, she walks onto the bus and tells Wang Tang to follow her. As our boy moves through the city, he realizes this is not the road to the martial arts center where he usually trains. It seems their skills will be tested somewhere else. One of the boys points at our boy and asks if they are students from Huiying Private High School. Someone replies that their school is also good, and the time will come to show what they can do. One of the guards looks into the distance and says on the radio that the supervision department has arrived. Our boy wants to know who they are. The girl explains that there used to be cheating in martial arts exams, but this department stopped it. Realizing there is nothing to fear, Wang Tang proudly says he will go first. He adds that they will meet after the exams. Some time passes, and a man calls out the name of a student. He tells him he has excellent results and can move on. After this, the teacher approaches another young man but says his level is too low, so he is denied. The stranger doesn't like this. He shouts that the computer made a mistake since he is an active martial arts master. He says it should be checked. The security guards immediately restrain him. The teacher says they are continuing so they don't delay the others. The guys in the crowd ask for a little time to prepare since they are tired. At this moment, a man approaches Master Fu and Chairman Chin. He asks how many promising fighters there are this year. After thinking, Wang Tang in glasses says he doesn't know the exact number. However, he says there is one nugget who could become an excellent warrior. The man thinks it is a joke, but the employee tells him to look at the 8th group. He adds that today is just a test, but the kid is capable of entering a top school. Suddenly, our boy hears a voice asking him to come closer for the test. A moment later, Wang Tang delivers a powerful blow to the target. He does it perfectly. After that, he starts running so fast that it is impossible to follow him. A few seconds later, Wang Tang is standing in a special circle waiting for instructions. The astonished lecturer reads the document and can't believe it. However, he proudly says these results allow the boy to go further. The astonished inspector asks if it is true that all 3 tests showed amazing results. He hints that the equipment might be broken. The other guys are sure our boy is cheating, but they are told this can't be true since the supervision department checks everyone. However, the person announcing the results still thinks something is suspicious. However, a moment later, the man in the earpiece announces there is no mistake. He tells the lecturer he can confidently announce the results. He announces that Wang Tang, who had already walked away, will move on. He achieved the highest score, which surprises everyone. Approaching his friend, the guy asks her to tell him he is irresistible for doing something like that. Smiling, the beauty says that contrary to her expectations, he actually showed his best side. In response, Chuhan explains her results weren't as impressive as his. She adds that she didn't prepare very well, but she still passed everything. The two are chatting so nicely that they don't notice someone standing behind them. Li Cheng doesn't want to approach them, but he thinks he has to surpass this upstart, who thinks he is better than everyone else. Suddenly, Li Cheng throws a bottle onto the floor with all his might and starts shouting curses. He tells himself it is because of Wang Tang that he is acting so strangely. A young man standing nearby asks calmly what Wang Tang has to do with Li's problems. The girl standing next to Wang Tang decides to change the subject. She suggests her friend call his family, who are probably worried. Putting his hand in his pocket, our boy says that is a great idea. Before he can speak, his mother starts asking when he will return home. She says she prepared a lot of food and doesn't want it to get cold. She thoughtfully adds that even if he fails the exam, they are mentally prepared. They just want him to come home and start training hard. Wang Tang knows the speech has gone on too long. He quickly informs his family that he passed the skills test. The woman seems happy, but she honestly admits she thought he would be rejected. A moment later, she asks her son again if he is telling the truth or just joking. After hearing confirmation, the woman hugs her husband, shouting that Wang Tang achieved what he wanted. The man notes that he is ready for this, so he can go on his business trip the next day with peace of mind. Wang Tang adds that they were probably worried about him, so the next time they come home, he will treat them to a delicious dinner. The father hangs up and shouts jokingly that this means he will be fed dog food, leftovers, or bad food again. Later, standing in the gym, Yang Jian says our boy is very stubborn because he doesn't want to show off. He adds that Wang Teng talks very little about himself. The student doesn't argue. He simply asks if Yang Jian's father still works in the education department. If so, could he find out what the martial arts exam involves? Wang Teng looks at Chu Han and explains he can't help because the association deliberately changes the exam location every year. Suddenly, the school director approaches the boys. He addresses Wang Teng, saying he is a talented young man with a special body structure. The guy immediately asks if the director has any unusual martial arts to teach him, adding that once he masters them, he can save the world. Laughing, the man says our boy is not only strong but also has a great sense of humor. The director explains their incentive system for martial arts students. If a student makes the top 50, they receive a stone to start. If they make the top 3, they get a bottle of panacea, a cure-all medicine. The first place winner receives all the previous awards, plus a mystical prize that won't disappoint. Our boy realizes he doesn't really need it, but he says he will try his best not to let the school down. Sitting on the bus, Wang Teng watches in surprise as they arrive at their destination. He thinks it looks like an ordinary barracks and had no idea they would stay in such a place. An employee says the students have to spend the night there, but the exam won't be held at that location. He adds that they must follow several rules. After some time, our boy and Yang Jian are talking when someone calls out to Wang Teng. Yang Jian approaches the man and asks his uncle why he is there. The man notes he doesn't need his nephew, but rather Wang Teng. Answering our boy's question, Uncle Lu explains he isn't the one looking for him. Someone else wants to meet our boy. He suggests they move away from the crowd. Taking Wang Teng to the chief, the man says he brought the boy mentioned earlier. A dark-haired man sitting in a chair speaks kindly to our boy, saying he is glad to see him. The guy thinks to himself that this is the head of the education department. Out loud, he kindly asks why a humble student like him is in this office. The boss assumes Wang Teng is a martial arts master, but Mr. Lu, standing next to him, can't believe it is possible. Laughing, Wang Teng explains the department head is probably joking since he is just an ordinary student. He thinks to himself that he hasn't given himself away, so no one should guess the truth. The man says sternly that it doesn't matter if the boy admits it or not. He hopes Wang Teng will show his best side in the upcoming exam. Pointing to the table, the chief says Wang Teng must release his real power. He offers a bone on the table, saying it is now his to take. The frightened Mr. Lu immediately says that only the strongest star beasts have this bone, as it is the most important part of their body. Wang Teng thinks to himself that he heard there is a special power inside the star bone that can be added to weapons. Realizing he needs to play along, Wang Teng asks the boss why he is giving him such a precious thing. The boss honestly says it is for the student's advancement. He sees great potential in him and hopes Wang Teng will help his own career advancement. Looking closely at the man, our boy thinks this old fox is straightforward. A star bone is certainly good, but he could get into trouble if his real strength is revealed. In a stern tone, the boss says he knows what the boy is thinking. He gives him one piece of advice. A master must fight to reach the top. A master needs resources, and these are achieved through persistent struggle with others. By hiding his strength, Wang Teng is acting like a coward who refuses resources. He warns that he can't hide forever. Hearing this, Wang Teng thinks it is true. All the masters he met before fought each other for resources, and now they are forcing him to fight too. The man continues to say that the student has huge potential. However, without the right mindset, he fears the boy's path will be short. He adds that he should forget they ever had this meeting. As he leaves, our boy wants to be polite, so he says he is going. The boss thinks to himself that this kid is too cunning and didn't fall for the bait. As if reading the man's thoughts, the guy says at the entrance that such tricks won't work on him. But despite this, he accepts the deal. The man asks if Wang Teng is playing games with him. Wang Teng timidly replies that he wouldn't dare. He adds that they should continue. When he mentions the star, bone, he falls silent. The irritated leader says the exam hasn't even started yet, but the student wants to secure the item now. He adds that with this attitude, he will definitely go far. But Wang Teng objects immediately. He says the man could change his mind at any moment and refuse to give up the item later. Putting a paper on the table, the boss says in that case, it is best to sign a contract. The next day, the kids stand outside and watch the airships in the sky. It is interesting that they have runes painted on them. One of the commanders greets the students. He wishes them success in the combat skills test and, most importantly, that they all return safely. The man announces that everyone should board because they are leaving soon for the exam site. Sitting in the chair, Yang Jian says this is the famous flying boat that uses original force. The runes are used for movement, and the original force powers it. Our boy asks if this is similar to cars and airplanes running on original force. Wang Teng says he heard the technology for these airships came from another country. At that moment, a bag falls on the guy's head. Wang Teng jokes that the student has been studying for so long but is still an amateur. Chu Han wants to keep the conversation going. She asks if it is true that other countries have similar technology. Yang Jian explains sadly that access to information from other countries is limited. However, if they become martial arts masters, they might have a chance to go there. Wang Teng asks why the girl didn't know this. She explains her father never discussed it when she was a child. After something bad happened to him, No one brought up the topic again. Our boy sitting in the corner thinks these two have secrets he didn't know about. Looking out the window, the boys shout loudly. They never imagined they would be tested on an island. As the students exit the airship, the commanders shout that they will give everyone protective gear and weapons. The inspection will begin in a couple of hours. Approaching one of the commanders, our boy says he brought his own weapon. He asks if he can use it after inspection. The man states that if it passes the check, it is allowed. He notices the guy has a good case. He notes that it is a 1-star runic weapon. For a moment, the commander is silent. Then he says that the ability to release the power of this weapon is the guy's own strength, so it is not a violation. Wanting to change the subject, Wang Teng asks for a lighter suit. The man hands him a simple one, saying it isn't heavy but is durable and easy to use. After some time, all the guys start getting dressed and preparing for the exam. Our boy's friend sees him and comes closer. Embarrassed, she asks what he thinks of her outfit and if she looks unusual. Wang Teng smiles as usual and says the class monitor looks handsome and dignified. Suddenly, a loud roar is heard behind our boy, making him alert. The commanders shout that these are the holding areas for dangerous creatures, which is why the area is fenced off. Wang Teng asks how the girl is feeling. She says she is fine, but he thinks her strength is barely enough to resist these monsters. Another student explains that he thought the exam was a small matter, but now he realizes even standing there is scary. Closing his eyes, our boy notes that it is normal to be afraid. If he looks around, no student looks completely calm. At that moment, the commanders inform everyone that the exam will begin soon. He explains the rules in detail to avoid misunderstandings. The exam will run from 10 a.m. until 6 a.m. the next day. The students will spend the night in the forest. It is important to remember that food, water, and shelter are the students' responsibility. The group begins to complain, saying they cannot be left alone in a forest with wild animals. The commander ignores the complaints. He says if the guys want to pass, they need to defeat at least 5 super beasts. He reminds them that the more they defeat, the higher their score. The communicator on their clothes is connected to satellites to monitor their condition. In case of danger, anyone can press a button for help, but that will end their exam. The combat skills test prohibits candidates from eliminating each other, but competition remains, so they must be wary of both the beasts and each other. He reminds them that the exam is good, but life is more important. The commander asks if anyone wants to quit now. Unexpectedly, one participant says she has thought carefully and doesn't want to risk herself for nothing. Watching Chuhan, her friend tells her not to worry and wishes her luck, leaving the beauty behind. Wang Teng calmly declares he will go first. Opening the gates, the commander announces there is little time left before they close, so the young people should hurry. While other participants hesitate, Wang Teng runs forward with great speed, as if he is hunting for treasure rather than beasts. At that time, a strange creature walks through the forest, ignoring everyone. Our boy thinks he has been wandering for an hour without seeing a single super beast, but now, the first beast he finds is a high-level one. He considers himself lucky since the creature is distracted. He plans to deal an unexpected blow, but at that very moment, Wang Teng hears a strange sound. He barely manages to jump aside, realizing the monster almost destroyed him. The student thought this would be easy, but he realizes the opponent is actually fierce. He decides he must act. He turns to the beast, calling it a fool and telling it to watch out for his sword. However, the beast breathes a powerful fire that looks like it could easily burn anyone in its path. Using his speed, our boy manages to escape again. A moment later, the guy appears behind his opponent, who did not expect this. Wang Teng knows he cannot hesitate, so he strikes hard with his sword. Wang Teng lands on the ground, wanting to make sure he does everything right. A minute passes and our boy sighs heavily. He can't believe he managed to defeat such a strong opponent so quickly, but he is surprised by something else he sees. Bubbles are scattered all over the place. This is a great gift because Wang Teng didn't expect it. He slowly starts collecting his trophies since he has plenty of time. Picking one up, the guy says out loud that it is an empty bubble, which can represent any stat. The surprised student thinks that defeating super beasts increases the chance of finding empty bubbles. He likes his finds, so he smiles. Lighting a small fire in his hand, he thinks this forest is the perfect place to collect as many as possible. At the base, one of the commanders says the first results are in. One student defeated a super beast and survived. While someone notes the boy is good at combat, the boss says it isn't strange because he is a high-ranking martial arts master. The governor finds it hard to believe and says they need to keep an eye on this guy. 9 hours later, a commander reports that half the students have left the exam because they failed. The director notes that this is normal compared to previous years. Everyone agrees Wang Teng is talented because he defeated several high-rank beasts. One man says he is perfect for the Belang Hall. Another man shouts that our boy belongs to the Polar Hall and won't go anywhere else. While they argue in the office, Wang Teng meets another enemy in the forest. He watches a huge snake that looks very dangerous. Our boy gets tense and thinks about his next move. The snake wraps around a tree and watches our boy closely. It is clear the monster is planning something. Suddenly, there is a loud noise. Rocks and tree parts fly down, but our boy manages to run away just in time. The snake continues to watch its victim, but the guy refuses to leave. He knows he needs this victory. A minute later, Wang Teng jumps into the air to strike his opponent. He knows what he is capable of, so he puts his sword behind his back and attacks. He cuts through the snake easily, like it is a piece of butter. Not much time passes, and our boy is sitting on the ground, trying to catch his breath after the tough battle. Looking at the defeated beast, our boy thinks fatigue is hitting him. The beginning was easier, but this python was harder to deal with than the lizard. Just as Wang Teng tries to relax and collect the bubbles, he hears a loud scream behind him. He doesn't ask questions. He simply strikes with his sword. Wang Teng says quietly that he warned the monster. He thinks the monster probably thought his years of training were a waste of time. Walking forward, the guy says the monster is definitely finished now. He is about to relax, but suddenly he sees a spear flying toward him. For a moment, time seems to stop because he doesn't know what to do. The spear hits a tree just as our boy ducks. He looks ahead and sees someone coming out of the bushes. A man starts shouting at Wang Teng, saying he is nobody and cannot hide. He says they will deal with him. A masked man watches our boy closely but doesn't move yet. He prepares to launch arrows at our boy, saying he will regret being born. The guy knows he has excellent speed, so he starts dodging the arrows. The next second, the guy jumps into the air and shouts at his opponent. They start a duel, both trying to show their skills. The enemy is surprised by the pressure and doesn't know how to fight back. The man is angry and watches carefully. A moment later, someone hits the stranger. It isn't Wang Teng. Another man appears and shouts for the fighting to stop immediately. He attacks the opponent who went after Wang Teng. Throwing the boy aside, Wang Teng asks Xiao if he still needs help. He smiles and says he didn't know who decided to fight him, but now he realizes it is Li. Wang Teng looks at our boy but says nothing. Our boy speaks again. He says he has defeated his opponent many times, but it hasn't taught him anything. Pointing to the two guys, he asks where Li found these two little followers that go everywhere with him. Hearing this, shouts that talking is useless. Taking a huge hammer, he yells that this is the end for Wang Teng. He claims that from now on, he will be the real winner. The battle starts again. It is hard to tell who will win because everyone stands their ground. The villain thinks to himself that he spent a lot of money hiring these top-tier disciples, but they are barely holding their own against Wang Teng. This is true because our boy uses difficult moves to get rid of these guys as quickly as possible. The enemy watches in horror, saying out loud that our boy is using master-level skills. It seems nothing is impossible for Wang Teng. To him, this is just easy fun. Suddenly, our boy stops. There is anger in his eyes, but a second later, he smiles like a winner. Not wanting to waste time, our boy enters the battle again. Knowing he still needs to defeat a few beasts, Wang Teng punches his opponent in the stomach with all his might to take him out. The blow is so strong that the man flies into the air. A few minutes later, Wang Teng looks at the amazed boy sitting by the tree. He asks Li Cheng if he wants to try too. Teng thinks angrily about why this is happening again. He wonders how the boy became even stronger. At that moment, our boy reads the enemy's thoughts. Li has a plan. He attacks, shouting that the boy will be finished by a 10-fold lightning strike. Wang Teng stands silently, waiting. Finally, Wang Teng hears his opponent attacking from behind, confident of success. However, before he can do anything, Li is surprised that the boy vanished and dodged easily. Suddenly, our boy appears right in front of him. The guy doesn't waste time explaining. He clenches his fist to hit his opponent. In a second, the enemy yells in pain, realizing Wang Teng is incredibly strong. The man falls to the ground with Wang Teng standing over him, clearly showing he is better. Wanting to catch his breath, Wang Teng holds his sword and watches the guy who bragged about defeating everyone. The enemy gets up with a friend's help, coughing and watching our boy in surprise. He looks at our boy with hate, thinking it is impossible for a child to have such strength. Wang Teng looks at the man silently. He is watching the bubbles near the enemy, but he doesn't chase them. He knows they are useless. But a moment later, something behind him catches his attention. Our boy slowly turns his head. Wang Teng looks closely at a pink ball. He is surprised that weapon skills can drop from a fight with people. Smiling, he decides he could have another battle with this villain to collect as many skills as possible. Hitting the guy, our boy says he will shake everything out of him since he attacked from behind. The other two guys watching shrink back. They don't know what will happen to them after seeing how Wang Teng handled the boss. One boy says Wang Teng is too tough, so it is best to leave quickly and hide in the forest. They watch him closely for a moment before trying to go. However, their plans fail because our boy turns around and looks at them. Backing away and stumbling, the guys say they have nothing to give. They admit defeat and say it is better for them to go their own way. Hearing them ask him not to do anything stupid, our boy says there is no need to be afraid because he is just an ordinary student. After defeating them, our boy hopes they will drop skill bubbles, but for some reason, they don't. Wang Teng turns to leave, but he hears a sound behind him. One of the boys presses the red rescue button on his bracelet. The system announces that the participant gave up and rescuers are coming. The guy stops for a moment. He knows it is getting dark. Visibility is worse at night, but there are more super beasts in the forest. This increases his chances. His goal isn't just to pass the exam, but to collect as many useful bubbles as possible. Jumping from a branch, our boy rushes toward a pack of wolves waiting below. He trained all day, so handling these creatures is no problem. He fights the wolves automatically, realizing they are easy prey. A few minutes later, the task is done. Looking at his screen, Wang Teng is happy he got 16 experience points. Suddenly, his leg gives way, and he feels a strange shaking beneath him. In a moment, the ground starts to crack rapidly. This is not a good sign. A nearby volcano makes strange sounds and shoots powerful flames into the night sky. Our boy, being at the other end of the forest, can't see this and doesn't understand what is happening. Chuhan, who is in a cave, doesn't understand either. She thinks an earthquake started and she needs to hide. She is confused because she knows she can't leave since the exam is still going on. The other participants in the forest are confused and don't understand what is happening. Some think the animals have gone wild. The staff watching from the office knows there is a dormant volcano on the island, and they realize an anomaly has caused it to wake up. One of the leaders says they cannot rule out danger. He says they must stop the exam immediately and send people to ensure the students' safety. The commanders realize the situation is serious and go to carry out the order. A minute later, the students hear warnings that the volcano has erupted and the exam is over. They are told to head to the exits immediately. The scared students start screaming and getting angry that no one warned them earlier. The boys run around in confusion. Many are so panicked, they forget where to go. With a heavy sigh, a manager turns to a group of high-level fighters in colorful suits and says it is up to them now. The group looks at him silently. At that moment, the students hear a terrible roar nearby. The scared students don't know if they are running from lava or wild animals. While some run away, others shout for them to wait, saying they have a better chance of surviving together. Wang Teng climbs the highest tree to see what is happening. Our boy sees the volcano releasing a lot of fire. He doesn't know exactly why. He worries about Chuhan, who should be in the forest. Suddenly, his thoughts are interrupted. He sees 3 people heading quickly toward the volcano. He wonders who they are and how they can withstand the heat. Jumping from the tree, Wang Teng assumes they are instructors sent to protect the participants and investigate the volcano. He decides to follow them to see what they do. He notices one fighter controls water perfectly. Another man has great control over fire. The third man controls nature, making trees and flowers obey him. Hiding behind a tree, our boy sees an explosion that sends stones flying. He says quietly that their power is incredible. He is also surprised by the number of skill bubbles scattered on the ground. Wang Teng thinks that if he follows them and collects bubbles, it would be a good opportunity. He realizes they are trying to get inside the volcano. However, he is scared because volcanoes are unpredictable. The power of the volcano could get worse. With a heavy sigh, Wang Teng makes a decision. He knows his life is in danger. He is just a student and cannot fight nature. He decides he needs to leave as soon as possible. Our boy stands up to leave, but he feels something hard under his foot. He picks it up and his eyes widen in fear. It is Chuhan's exam pass, but she is nowhere to be seen. Our boy knows he searched a lot of the forest while following the fighters, but he didn't see any students. He hoped she had run to the exit, but now he feels something is wrong. He doesn't know where she was hunting, so he assumes she might be near the volcano. He starts running, trying to convince himself she is okay, but he needs to check. Thanks to his speed, Wang Teng arrives quickly. He uses his special vision skill to see better. He feels the strong power of fire coming from the area. As he moves closer, it gets hotter. He thinks there must be something strange in the cave. Suddenly, he hears unusual sounds ahead. He hopes his friend isn't there because if she ran into the super beasts, there would be no way to escape. He is angry at the examiners for sending students to such a dangerous place. He realizes this is very serious. Inside the cave, strange lizard-like creatures are crawling around. They don't seem afraid of the fire. They seem to enjoy it. These creatures are likely descendants of salamanders. The animals become wary because they sense something. Our boy appears at the entrance but doesn't move yet. Peeking around the corner, our boy is frustrated because he sees super beasts hiding there, but the girl is nowhere to be found, which scares him even more. He worries that his friend might have been eaten. But the next moment, something strange happens. A powerful whirlwind starts swirling below. Wang Teng sees the fighters he was watching earlier. One of them shouts for Lin Dong, asking where he is. The wounded guy replies that the situation is hard, but he is fine. The man shouts that the venom of the volcanic salamander is very strong, so they need to be careful. The group is prepared, but they hesitate to make a big move. Our boy watches but knows he cannot interfere yet. Creating a stone shield, the fighters try to defend themselves from the monster, which is shooting fire at them. The salamander looked terrifying and did everything it could to make the people leave immediately. It seemed the beast was going to burn everything in its path. At that moment, One of the guys said with relief that it was good their stone defense held up against the powerful attack. However, suddenly, the stranger's eyes widened in horror. A moment later, the salamander struck the stone with its tail. The force was so great that the stone shattered into tiny pieces. While the girl fought off another beast, she asked Lin Dong how he was feeling. There was no answer, which worried her. The salamander realized it had the advantage. It began to spew fire furiously to force the uninvited guests out of their shelter. The girl, who had used water and ice for protection, started cursing. She realized the situation was getting out of control. They were in serious danger. She shouted to her friends that they needed to retreat quickly. She explained that it was hard to handle 2 volcanic salamanders and they couldn't hold them back for long. Turning around, her friend said with horror that the animals had blocked the only exit. They couldn't escape. Watching closely, Wang Teng thought that these beasts were working together and the warriors might be defeated at any moment. A moment later, the salamander waved its tail again. One of the young men asked Li Quan what to do. Lost in thought, the girl said they had only one choice: to fight to the end. She hoped help would come soon. If not, the rescuers would only find them gone. Suddenly, Lin Dong said they had to fight because there was no other choice. Seeing he looked unwell, the blonde asked what was wrong. He said he would try to hold on. However, watching the animals rage, the guy said he probably wouldn't last. The salamanders didn't plan to stop. They tried to surround the team from different sides to leave them no choice. Li Quan used her remaining strength to resist the animal, trying to protect herself and her friends. For a moment, she succeeded, but the salamanders didn't back down. Instead, they attacked even more actively. Our boy watched the group and was very worried. He understood that with such pressure, the young rescuers wouldn't be able to leave the cave. Gritting his teeth, Wang Teng told himself it wouldn't end like this. He couldn't just stand there and watch. The next second, the salamander gathered strength and began to spew even more powerful fire. At this moment, Lin Dong thought desperately that he couldn't hold back the beasts anymore. However, something unusual happened. The guy turned his head. The rest of the team did the same, and were surprised to see the salamanders looking in the opposite direction. It seemed like the moment of salvation they had been waiting for. But instead of running, the boys stood still, trying to understand what happened. One of the guys shouted that now they could attack the animals while their backs were turned. The blonde shouted joyfully that help had finally arrived. She said they would deal with these predators quickly. She said she could handle one animal herself, but left the stronger one to the young men. The boys shouted that it was time to attack together. Fighting the salamander, our boy said the beast had incredible strength. It was very difficult to handle alone. Wang Teng knew the battle was tough, but he wouldn't let the beast escape. He prepared a powerful blow to finish the opponent so he could find his friend. He summoned an ice fist to help himself, designed to deal maximum damage. At that moment, the blonde heard a loud roar. She shouted to the guys to hurry because the cave could collapse. One young man who controlled nature immediately used a trick with vines. It was hard to see exactly what he did, but the beast began to squirm. The battle continued, becoming more intense every minute, but the heroes didn't give up. Realizing their lives were at stake, the girl moved forward. She was no longer defending herself, but attacking. It was clear one of the salamanders was almost finished. The guy slammed his hand on the stone, showing he would continue to fight until they won. A moment later, everyone noticed a flame. It cut the stone where the beast was standing. One of the young men trying to catch his breath said they finished one animal, though it wasn't easy, but they didn't know where the other one was since they weren't watching everything. At that moment, the blonde saw a stranger standing near the second salamander. Wang Teng thought with joy that he had defeated the beast, although it was difficult. His endurance and surprise attacks helped, along with his use of fire and water elements. Looking at the screen, the guy saw he used many bubbles he collected earlier to defeat the beast. He wanted to study other stats, but he heard someone call him. Teng wanted to praise our boy, but he stopped when he saw our boy was wearing a candidate's uniform. Pointing to our boy, the savior asked if Wang Teng really defeated the terrible beast alone. Our boy had nothing to hide, so he calmly said he fought the salamander and won. Our boy thought to himself that the boys were just as scared as he was, even if they didn't show it. Looking around, he was glad to see a large number of bubbles falling. He checked the board and saw they were attributes of the wood and water elements. Our boy smiled. This was a great bonus because usually other elements dropped. Now he had a wide choice. The girl watches the stranger carefully and asks if he is really a master. She doubts that he could handle the super beast alone, but he confirms that he managed to do it. Realizing that Chuhen is still missing, our boy asks if the boys saw a girl with long hair nearby. After thinking for a moment, the blonde says they didn't see anyone. Wang Teng is a little upset. He thinks he wasted his time checking this cave. He knows his friend wouldn't overestimate her strength. Suddenly, Wang Teng says the earthquake was caused by the two animals, so everything is fine now and he can leave. However, one of the guys asks him to wait. The rescuer explains that the body of the volcanic salamander our boy destroyed has valuable resources. It might even contain a star core, which belongs to the one who defeated the beast according to the rules. The student asks if the star beast he destroyed counts. A Another young man crosses his arms and explains that without Wang Teng's help, they would have been in big trouble. So, the trophy belongs to our boy. Our boy is pleased that these people are honest. He smiles sincerely and says he will accept the gift. A few seconds later, he goes to the salamander to look for something. He pulls out a ball and asks if it is the star core. The guys approach him and say he is very lucky because such trophies are rare. They add that they have defeated similar animals before but never found one. Laughing, our boy jokes that it is because he is handsome. One of the guys jokes back that it is a pity they aren't like him. Suddenly, a large group of people interrupts the conversation. The rescuers have arrived to sort everything out. Wang Teng looks at the new arrivals with fear. The girl looks at the chief warden standing next to her. She thinks he has frightening energy. At that moment, our boy thinks that if he hadn't studied martial arts, he never would have met such a high-ranking person. Unexpectedly, the man speaks to our boy. He says he watched him closely during the exam and was pleasantly surprised. The guy says quietly that he is just being flattered. The leader continues, saying the guys stopped the volcanic eruption by defeating 2-star beasts. This action will be recorded in their service history. A minute later, staff members ran to the chief warden. They report that all candidates are safe, but unfortunately, there were some casualties. The warden asks Li Quan if she defeated the star beast. The girl does not explain exactly. They handled one monster together, which fell into the lava, but Wang Teng defeated the second one. The employees shout that there must be a mistake. They ask how an ordinary schoolboy could defeat a volcanic salamander. Wang Teng feels awkward, even though he saved himself and helped others. The blonde proudly says she always tells the truth. She explains that the wounds on the beast show a natural force different from theirs. The employees check to confirm the story. One person starts to say there is only one kind of power, but then stops. He adds that there is also the power of the ice element. Our boy doesn't understand what is wrong, thinking maybe it is just rare. The supervisor interrupts. He says he is glad there are students with hybrid power attributes in this group. He adds that this year, Donghai will be impressive. After this, people start offering the boy spots at their gyms with good conditions. However, one young man shouts that they are being dishonest. He reminds them that Wang Teng is training at the Polar Star Hall. While the warden continues talking, everyone decides it is time to leave the cave. After some time, the guys return to the tent city in the forest. Our boy walks around slowly and doesn't talk to anyone. Suddenly, he hears his name. Chuhan stands in front of him, smiling shyly. He asks how she is. She replies she is fine, but notes his clothes are damaged. He remembers searching for her and asks if she lost anything recently. Chuhan stutters and says she doesn't remember. Taking a document from his pocket, the student says the class monitor is amazing for losing her exam pass without noticing. The beauty blushes. Then he asks why she went to the volcano. He says she should know it is dangerous. The girl explains she tracked down 5 animals and went to the mountain to hide. Our boy thinks the animals were probably afraid to go up the mountain because of the salamanders. The girl seems to read his thoughts about how she defeated the animals alone. She asks why he doesn't believe her. She laughs and says thanks to her years of study and practice, she managed to defeat 5 super beasts using herbs. Our boy says kindly that an ordinary person definitely couldn't do that. He adds that she is worthy of the class monitor and decides to call her Genius Lin from now on. After a while, the guys are sitting in the tent discussing everything that happened during the day. A scared classmate shouts that the results might not count because of the accident during the exam. However, our boy thinks for a moment and explains that the evaluation ended before the chaos started. So, this situation definitely won't affect the results. He adds that they shouldn't forget the main point of the martial arts exam. At that moment, the girl tells everyone that no matter what happened, the results will stand. One guy mentions that he failed to defeat his 5th beast before the eruption, but he managed to save a candidate instead. He adds that he was praised by one of the martial arts hall owners. Suddenly, the loudspeakers ask everyone to gather on the platform. Our boys don't know what to expect, but they follow instructions. Despite the late hour, the chief supervisor of Donghai stands on the stage to explain the situation. The students don't listen to his speech. Instead, they start shouting questions about the exam and the victims. The man doesn't like this disrespect. He shouts loudly for everyone to be quiet. He states that the accident was unfortunate and the families of the fallen candidates will receive compensation. However, he warns them that the path of a master is much more difficult and dangerous than this exam. He says they shouldn't just focus on combat skills. The world of warriors is cruel. He announces that those who fought during the Super Beast invasion will receive extra points. He officially ends the exam and tells everyone to prepare to go home. The next day, the boys are on the airship finding their seats. Yang Jian calculates that our boy defeated 30 super beasts, 3 high level and 4 medium level. He says this is very impressive. A friend sitting nearby praises our boy, saying he did something incredible. He jokes that the class monitor probably wants to hear praise too. The embarrassed girl jumps up and shouts that she doesn't want to hear that. Wang Teng doesn't understand why she is so nervous. He says there is nothing unusual about it. The friend continues to talk about his comrade's amazing abilities. Hearing the numbers, the class president says their classmate must be making it up. She thinks he is strong, but not that strong. Wang Teng throws up his hands and says he told the truth, but no one believes him. He thinks to himself that if he told them about the star beast, their heads would explode. Zhao Wu, who hears the conversation, starts laughing. He says our boy is deceiving everyone about the number of animals. Wang Teng looks at where the heckler is sitting, but doesn't argue yet. The guys continued to laugh, saying even strong students struggled, so a newbie couldn't do it. Zhao Wu says he wanted to compare himself to our boy, but now realizes the guy just invented stories. They stand up and tell him to behave with dignity for their school. Everyone starts laughing again, treating it like a game. A girl tries to stop them, but the guy says it's just a joke. Chuhan steps in, saying this conversation has nothing to do with Zhao Wu. An argument starts between the bullies and our boy's friends. Walking closer to the class monitor, Wang Teng says she misunderstood him. He claims he isn't jealous. He thinks to himself that she is beautiful, and this is his chance to get close. He says out loud that he has no bad intentions and hopes Wang Teng stops making up stories. The class monitor stays silent but thinks they are hypocrites. A moment later, Yan Ping introduces himself as a student of Hui Ying School and a high-ranking master. He asks to exchange contact info with the girl. Wang Teng stands up. For a few seconds, he just stands there. Suddenly, he turns around and asks if they have lost their minds. Everyone senses his enormous power and strength. Our boy stomps his foot so everyone can hear. Addressing the heckler, our boy says he heard he wanted to fight. Suddenly, Zhao Wu falls and finds himself kneeling in front of Wang Teng. Our boy angrily says the guy dared to ask his friend for her number, hinting that he is overestimating himself. Scared, Yan Ping tries to explain that his friend was just acting out of justice and suggests they talk. Wang Teng laughs as if he understands. Then, he kicks his opponent sharply. He says he doesn't want to talk to them now. It is clear Wang Teng is angry, and the opponents realize they shouldn't have upset him. A moment later, he turns to the other young man who was laughing earlier. The boy tries to speak, but Wang Teng hits him immediately, sending him flying to the other side of the cabin. Approaching the opponents, our boy calmly says all problems are solved. He tells the class monitor they should return to their seats because they are landing soon. The surprised students decide it is better not to make this man angry. And with that, this episode ends. Like and subscribe for the next part.